Excellent.
Admitted someone in as well. Okay, go for it.
Okay, welcome everyone to BWA's April webinar. We're very lucky today to have Georgia Bamber to help us develop a success mindset. Georgia is often asked, because she's a psychologist and she's an executive and a life coach, she's often asked, I know I have to have get a mindset, but how do I do it? And this is where we came up with this idea today to actually look at and really unpack it and look at how to develop a mindset, success mindset. So really looking forward to this. I'm Lyn Hawkins. I am the National Director of Business Women Australia and the founder of Business Women Australia. I'm actually coming in from Western Australia. Georgia's in New South Wales. So, and we've got lovely ladies from all around Australia that are online today, and we are recording this session. If there is something that you share with us at any time that you don't want in the recording, just let us know afterwards and we'll make a note of that and our team will edit that out. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge the country on which we're meeting. It's sacred and sovereign Indigenous land that's been lived, danced and celebrated on for over 120,000 continuous years. And we pay our respects to all Indigenous elders, past, present, and those who are emerging. And we celebrate our Indigenous sisters in business. I'm actually on the Wudjuk country of the Noongar Nation. So it's a beautiful part of the world. Perth, for those of you who haven't been here before, we'd love to have you over to Noongar Nation land. The BWA vision is to be the #1 national collaborative community in Australia. And so we really focus on raising the visibility of women in business. We believe that if other women see us having a crack at this stuff, then they'll realise that if she can do it, I can do it. And we really have that focus on helping each other, being very generous with our knowledge and building that network of influence with business owners, with entrepreneurs, directors, executives, managers, women who might be on boards in the professions or leaders, and even students and emerging leaders come through and join us as well. And we focus on these 5 areas of development, leadership being our top priority, because we really believe that women and more women that see themselves as leaders, no matter where they are in an organisation, then have the courage and the power to speak out and help bring about change and opportunities for others and make the world generally a better place. Business improvement obviously is key as well, because we are a business organisation. Personal growth is very important, because if we don't invest in ourselves, then we can't be the best versions of ourselves. With influence and profile, we only feature our own community members. So we get asked all the time for opportunities from other people that want to speak and those sorts of things, but we really focus on raising the profile and in helping our premium level members actually raise their voice. And of course, we provide so many opportunities for women to connect, whether online or in person, and friendships obviously are then really important part of what we're all about. We are your mates, not your market. So, but we'll help you identify who your target market is and help promote and position whatever it is you're wanting to do and wherever you're wanting to see with in front of your target market. So inclusion and diversity is very important to us. We share the values of courage, honesty. None of us are perfect. We're imperfectly perfect. And we're very open-minded and conscious about how we are in caring for ourselves, hopefully, and also caring for each other, which probably comes a little more naturally. Often we find in our group, we are so supportive of each other, we have to remind ourselves to actually look after ourselves as well. So the benefits we've actually found about being a part of our collective, which is awesome, is the friendships that are made. I cannot wait to come over to Sydney. It's been so long. I'll be there next week and I'll be catching up with such gorgeous friends, many who I haven't even met, like Georgia in person. I can't wait. I'm hanging out. So, you know, these friendships that we can build online are very authentic. So being a part of this community is really, really awesome. I can guarantee that. And if you don't like it, you can get your money back. So one of the other awesome benefits is the free courses we get. We've got Torrens University partnership, and there's like, I think 35, 36 courses, thousands of dollars worth of short courses that are 45 minutes sort of long, that kind of self-paced, online. They're all available to classic members and premium members for free. So if that sounds like a great thing for you to sort of brush up your knowledge, we recently did, our marketing team did the digital marketing subjects, and we were really impressed. They're all completely up to date, as you would hope from a university, and we all learned something new. So look, I really think that this is one of the great things about BWA. If you or anyone you know is thinking about going to university and doing a diploma or an MBA or a degree of any sort that's offered by Torrens University, then now is the time to apply for a scholarship. We have just opened up our 2021 scholarship application process. We have an event coming up with a Q&A. This is a massive opportunity. Kylie Clark last year won our 100% scholarship. So she's getting a free MBA through Torrens University. She's working her butt off, of course, but a fully funded MBA. And we also awarded 5 other women mini scholarships, 15% saving across their entire degrees. So it's a really generous partnership that we've negotiated with Torrens Uni for our community. So we want you to follow us. We want you to connect. We want you to share what we're all about. We want you to help promote and raise the visibility of our leaders and really engage with us on our social media. No, none of us have got time, but it really helps push women and what women are all about in front of the eyes and the ears and the workplaces of Australia. So we have a LinkedIn group. You can join that at no cost, even if you're not a classic or a premium level member. Join that group on LinkedIn. Share what you're all about. Share some articles. If you've got workshops or whatever, join that. We do have our website that's very up to date. We have a Facebook page, follow us. We have Twitter and Instagram. And for our members, we have a private Facebook group where we often sort of promote what's going on or ask questions or see who's joining or welcome new members in there. So we couldn't do what we do without our collaboration partners. These are the amazing organisations that work really hard in the background to be able to deliver a program like this to the nation of business women. So Torrens University, of course, are amazing. Catco Enterprises look after our website and our social media campaigns. Solo accounts look after all our invoicing and our accounting. Intact Teams is the wonderful Jessica Schubert, who's developed our leadership programs. And that's another revenue stream for Business Women Australia. So wonderful to have all these amazing, generous women coming on board as our collaboration partners. And Hawkins Marketing is my team, and we sit back in the background helping with all our event marketing and our Google Ads campaigns and so on. So you can join if you want to really get involved and get a directory listing and get access to all those wonderful benefits. Join as a member. Classic membership's $299 a year. That is such good value. When you look at even the short courses, it's phenomenal value. So it's also good from a backlink point of view. If you're a business owner and you're looking for a directory listing that helps raise your profile on SEO on Google, it's just good for even that. And if you want to be a part of our program and you reckon you've got what it takes and you've got some amazing knowledge, you might be an expert in a field, or you might be an amazing designer or consultant, or have an awesome business that you want to work with us to help promote that, then our premium level memberships are by application or by invitation, and have a chat to me if that sounds like something you want to do with business women over the next 12 months. So this is what we're all about. Much smaller events, much more interaction, getting to know each other. Rather than doing massive big conferences where you might be lucky to meet 1 or 2 people, we rather small interactive events where hopefully you walk out with amazing introductions from 10 or 12, phenomenal women, maybe more. I think the LinkedIn breakfast was amazing. I don't know, I think they had about 20 to breakfast in Sydney recently. They've just had a business networking event that was fantastic in Melbourne. I think Catherine Dixon's online. She was there earlier this week. And of course, during COVID, we were online and we grew during COVID because everything went online with our webinars and our Friday free falls and all the things we did. So for you that are online, we have our scholarship Q&A. So please, think of someone you know who would benefit from this. This is a huge opportunity. And I think last year we got 20 or 30 applications in. So if you're a numbers person, you've got a pretty high chance of getting a scholarship here. This is a no-brainer for anyone. And Torrens University is a private-owned university. They are amazing. We don't know them very well over in WA because they don't have a campus here, but they do have campuses in Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, maybe in Brisbane, not 100% sure. But everyone gets a coach, so accountability buddy, to help them to be successful in their degree. They are, everything's well designed online. They've got award-winning teachers. It's just brilliant. I didn't know about them before they approached us to partner with us. And I have been blown away by how brilliant and innovative this university is. So can't say enough about that. Our next online one is a panel Q&A. For any of you who have got a bit of a sidekick or a small business, or you're working from home, we've got an amazing panel talking about how to take that into a fully fledged business. So that is going to be an excellent online panel. For those of you, you can see we've got Sydney Cheese and Chats is fully booked. I'm talking to our venue to see if we can open up to a couple more. Bunbury, we've got customer service rock star Colleen Maguire talking about customer services. So there'll be lots of people sending their teams along to that. We've got a sundowner in Perth. For those of you ladies who are in from Perth, come and meet me, hang out with us in May. We've got fantastic Leanne Gianoli, who is a cell therapist, and they provide intravenous vitamin injections and cell therapy. She's just had approval from the Australian Medical Association to run her business and have her clinic operating in South Perth. They've always been overseas, and Leanne has some stories to tell. She's awesome. And of course, in Brisbane, the wonderful Joanne Bradbury is heading over to Brisbane on the 14th of May for a business soiree with beautiful 3 Drops wines. And in the 18th of May in Perth, for those ladies who are can't make the 5th of May or want to come to both, jump on and book in, and we'll have our intuitive chats with Vita Carlino. They're very, they're kind of like D&Ms. There's no bullshit. It's all pretty awesome with Vita. She's gets us to sort of peel back our work kind of personas and be having very courageous conversations, and we'll be talking about intuition. So we've had the wonderful Anne-Marie Cross on today. She's our queen of podcasting, and our podcasts are phenomenal. They feature the amazing women we have like Georgia, you know, sharing their expertise. And I think Sasha Fulton's actually booking in for one soon too, to discuss, you know, taking those sort of peak performance type strategies into business and into the corporate world. So there'll be some great podcasts. Keep an eye on the ones coming up. I think Catherine Dixon's had a great podcast. So if you've got any ideas, if you want to host an event, want to get involved, drop me a line, lyn@businesswomenaustralia.com.au. I can't wait to hear from you. So I've taken up enough of Georgia's airtime. I need to hand over. I can't wait to hear how to develop a success mindset. Georgia comes with an incredible pedigree of not just academic qualifications, but her pragmatic advice is awesome. Georgia, if you can just pop us all onto your newsletters. I mean, if we don't want them in the future, we can opt out, but please pop everyone. I've sent everyone's emails to you. Pop us all on there. I love my Monday Mindset emails from Georgia. They really, you know, people say, well, you know, do you need to work on this stuff, Lyn? You're so successful. Well, I tell you what, this is a facade. I'm just like anyone else. I go, oh my God, what am I going to do today? What am I going to wear? How am I going to think? How am I going to, you know, should I be sitting at that table with those people? They're all a lot more clever. I'm the same as anyone else. We all have to have someone like Georgia in our lives to help us and keep giving us these amazing skills
It's just,
so
yes,
that
the
we know
reminders, isn't it? We all know what to do. We just don't actually do it. That's the problem.
Excellent. Okay, so let's go and hand over to you. I will stop sharing, but I will ask for my hosting again so I can keep an eye.
Yeah, as long as I can share my screen, that's all good.
You can. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so I need to make you, do I need to do that? Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, make host. There we go. Alrighty, you should be back as the host.
I am. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much for that introduction, Lyn, and thank you everyone for coming along today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope that you're going to walk away today with something that you find really helpful and that's going to help you, develop the success mindset. That's what we are all here for. So I'm going to just switch over to my slideshow for you now. So I'm just going to find that. There we go. And we will get started. I'm just going to fix my camera. Sorry. Alrighty. Okay, you should be able to see me there. All right. So, as I said, thank you very much for coming along today. So, what we're going to be talking about is how to get your mind into gear so that you can start thinking and feeling and taking the kind of actions that you need to take to move you towards the successes that you want. All right. So I'm going to be showing you how you can intentionally change up your brain so that you stop all that self-sabotaging and you start getting more of what you want. So what I want to do is show you that success is not some kind of distant achievement. It's not something outside of you. It's not something that you need to struggle for. Success is actually something that you are. So it's something that you can become, all right? Now, mindset has been quite a buzzword for the past few years, and most of us are aware, of course, that a success mindset is probably something that would be good to have, all right? So we want one, for sure. But the question is, how do we actually go about getting one? Okay, what are the mechanisms for flipping your mindset so that you can tune it up for success? That's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to show you how to use your mind to kind of create the life and the career and the business and the health and the kind of the happiness that you've been looking for. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be stopping as we go through the presentation to ask if there are any questions. That just helps me with the flow a bit and make sure I get to everything that I want to share with you today. So if you can just save your questions to that point, that would be great. But then if you can drop them in the chat, or because there's not actually that many of us here, I'm really happy if you've got questions, just unmute yourself and ask me directly and we can do it that way. That's really easy. So also, it'd be great if you've got a piece of paper and a pen. We're going to go through a little exercise later on. So if you just want to grab that as well, that would be perfect. Oops. There we go. Okay. So how many people here feel a little bit like this person? I know I spend many days like that. I have 2 teenage sons. But it's kind of that feeling that knowing that you want something different from what you've got now, knowing that you're capable of so much more, but kind of unable to make those changes and get the traction that you need in order to achieve those results. So if you put your hand up, you are definitely not alone. I think the majority of people out there are kind of living these lives of secret frustration. Okay, they know that there is more. They know they can do more, but they're just unsure about how to go about and change things. So the aim of the talk today is to help you to get to this source of frustration and learn how to shift your mindset to start making those changes you want. So before I launch in, just want you to have a quick think. Why is this topic important to you? Okay, why did you come along to hear me speak today? And what are you hoping to get out of the presentation? It would be good if you just keep the answers to those questions at the front of your mind, and it's going to help to keep this workshop really practical for you. So before we get into all of that, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm the right person to teach you how to develop a mindset for success. So as Lyn's already told you, my name is Georgia Bamber and I am a success coach. So what that means is that I work with people who want to make changes in their life, people who want to create something different, people who want to create something better, and who want the tools, the support, and to make all of that happen. So in essence, what I do day in and day out is I help people just like you tap into their potential, figure out what it is they want, and then most importantly, I help them to go out and get that. But what makes me an expert on success and mindset? Well, from a professional point of view, I've spent most of my working life in the field of health and wellness. I've got a master's in psychology. I've also got an MBA. I'm, of course, a certified coach. I'm certified in plant-based nutrition, and I'm also a yogi and endurance athlete. So I've got a really broad academic and professional background from which to draw when helping people to kind of reach any kind of goal. But I also know what it takes to create success from a really kind of personal and practical perspective as well. I've always had this, I guess, strange fascination with what is a good life, okay? What does it take to create one? And how does one get there? How does one get a good life for themselves? I think life is a really precious gift, and I wanted to make sure that I was getting the absolute most out of mine. I wanted the biggest bang for my buck in terms of my life, okay? So as a result, what I've done is I've made my whole life kind of one giant experiment on trying to kind of achieve that good life, to live that best life for me. I wanted to be fit and healthy. I want to be engaged and always learning and having new experiences. And to that end, I've become what you see before you now, which is a well-traveled, entrepreneurial, plant-based eating, ultra running, life coaching wife and mother. Now, of course, I'm not suggesting that everybody should be a plant-based eating, ultra running life coach. It's not for everyone, that's for sure. But what I am saying is that everybody has their own version of this good life, okay? It's that sweet spot where you truly flourish, where your interests and your talents and your opportunities all collide. That's your good life. Now, in my time working towards my version of the good life, of course, I tried to achieve and change and accomplish a whole ton of different things. Now, some of these were really easy to do. Other things I struggled with, but I got there in the end. And some of them I just gave up altogether. Okay, just too hard. And I couldn't understand, why was I so good at achieving in certain areas of my life and so bad, like truly bad at achieving in other areas? Like, what was the difference? And the more I thought about it, the more I started to realize that a large part of the difference was actually what was going on in my mind, okay? And whether I had that underlying belief, really believed that I would succeed, my chances of success were vastly multiplied. When I was a bit kind of lukewarm or not fully committed, my chances of success were greatly diminished. I came to see that success was not something that came to me from external sources, but it was something that I was in charge of, and that it was my own thoughts, okay, the stuff going on in my own head that would make or break me. And I realized that having the right mindset was the key. So in my true personal fashion, I just set to learn more about that, okay? And after a whole ton of reading and a lot of studying and then working on myself, I've come up with a formula which helps to develop a success mindset. It's the one I've used on myself, of course. It's the process I share with my clients. And now today, I'm going to be sharing it with you. So after years of kind of experimenting on myself and of course working with clients, there are 3 things that I know for sure. Now, the first thing I know for sure is that whether you succeed or whether you fail, in the vast majority of cases, comes down to ultimately one thing: your mindset. Is your head in the right place? Now, the second thing I know for sure is that your mindset, it's not set in stone. It's actually flexible and malleable and adaptable, which means that it doesn't matter how your brain is working right now. There are things you can do to change it. And the third thing I know for sure is that changing your mindset isn't as difficult as you might fear, all right? There are actually some really straightforward steps you can take in order to switch it up and have it working for you rather than against you, which is what happens a lot of the time. Okay, so here it is. This is my little process for success. I call it the crown of success. And as you can see in the picture, there are 4 important elements when it comes to developing a success mindset. And these are to be open, to be clear, to be aware, and to be good. Now, we're going to be going over each of these elements today, but I just wanted to give you that sneak peek of where we are going. So let's take a quick look at what we are going to be covering then. Firstly, we're going to explore what is a success mindset and why is it even important? Then we're going to have a look at ways that you can start to flip your thinking from something that is unhelpful, something that's not working for you, to something that is working for you. And then lastly, we're going to look at each of those 4 elements in the crown of success, and we're going to see how you're doing on those. So let's start by taking a look at just mindset in general. Like, what does that even mean? And of course, why is it important? So mindset is nothing more than a person's way of thinking. It's that simple. It's the combination of their thoughts, their attitudes, their beliefs, their opinions, and their ideas. Okay, so it's all that stuff that's going on in your brain. Now, that's the definition of mindset in general. So what is a success mindset? Well, a success mindset is one that is constituted of thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, and opinions that serve the thinker, okay, and leads them towards the life they want to be living. A success mindset prompts you to take the actions you need to get the things that you want. So in essence, a success mindset is one that moves you in the direction you want to be going, and it enables you to achieve your goals and your dreams. And we're not just talking about financial success or career success. I'm also talking about success in relationships, success with your health, success in your personal well-being. So that being said, what are some typical things that people with a success mindset might think and believe? So here are a few that I've thought of. Obviously, it's not an exhaustive list, but people with a success mindset believe that growth is fundamental to well-being, okay? And that this is achieved by continual learning and experiencing and trying new things. People with a success mindset are not bound by their comfort zone. They also believe in possibility. They know that change can happen. They know that doors do open and that you can shape your own destiny. People with a success mindset see the value in focusing on the positive. For example, why ask the question, what if I fail? When instead you can just ask, what if I succeed? They flip things around like that. They understand that they need to hold themselves accountable. They know that in order to make any change, it requires taking full responsibility for everything. Success mindset people tend to have an abundance mentality as well, and they're not afraid to give because they know there is enough for everybody. They're willing to make mistakes, and they know that this is the best way to learn. And for sure, it's the only way to attempt new things. They are decisive, okay? They do not waste time second guessing their decisions. They just make a decision, they move on, and then they make the best of it. They value performance over perfection. Now, of course, it's really important to do things well. I'm not saying that it's not, but being perfect is an unrealistic goal. So setting yourself to that standard is not going to help you towards success. A success mindset also embraces acceptance of both strengths and weaknesses, the good and the bad in yourself, and they have a willingness to kind of work within the parameters of the world as it is, okay, instead of fighting against how they think it should be. Now, as I said, of course, this is not an exhaustive list. There are many other qualities that people with a success mindset may have. But this is just to give you an idea of the kinds of places that you need to take your mind in order to get it on track with your goals and dreams. So I guess that sounds fantastic. That is the list of qualities we'd probably all like to have and to be thinking. And I guess everyone can see how these would be nice and how they would be quite beneficial. But do these kind of thoughts actually really change anything? Do they make the world around you any different? Do they have the power to determine whether you are successful or not? Otherwise, you know, they're only thoughts. What difference is that going to make? But the short answer to this question is that yes, they absolutely have the power to determine whether you're a success. Now, many people operate under the notion that success is just some kind of elusive quality that lies outside of them. Or perhaps they think that success involves being lucky or being born with certain skills and talents. But the truth is, success is not something that is bestowed upon you or that you luckily just stumble upon. It's actually something you create from within, from your thoughts, and then from the consistent actions that these thoughts lead you to take. Now, the best news about this concept, that it's the thoughts that are creating what's going on out in your world, is that you are 100% in charge. You might not be able to control those external circumstances in your life. You can't control the natural gifts you were born with, okay, but you can control what you think. You can control what you believe and how you respond to that. In other words, you're in charge of your mindset. So if you want different results in your life from what you have right now, the very first place you need to look is to what's going on in your brain. Okay, look to your mindset and figure out if you need to make some adjustments. Now, the story that you tell yourself is the story that you believe, okay? It's the story that will influence the way that you feel. And in turn, this will influence the actions that you take. And then these actions, of course, have consequences, and these ultimately lead to the results that you have in your life. So it all starts with the thoughts, which lead you to feel in a particular way, which lead you to act in a certain way, which have consequences. Now, you can create any result with the right mindset. That is your power. That is where the magic lies in creating the life that you want for yourself. It's in that understanding that your mindset drives everything you see and feel and have in your life. Now, once you understand this and you can then become aware of what is going on in your brain, once you consciously can start to begin to use your thoughts to generate the feelings that lead to actions that serve you, then you can start to create anything you want in your life. You can have as much success as you choose. Now, as that previous slide just shown, your beliefs create your reality. And if this is true, don't you want to make sure that your thoughts and your beliefs and your stories are creating a reality that you want to be living in? Well, of course you do. However, the thing is, for most people, their mindset is often working against them. They get caught up in loops of negative self-talk, and they subscribe to beliefs and values that are no longer working for them. Now, unfortunately, we humans have actually been pre-wired to think negatively. And if we don't pay attention, as many as 80% of our thoughts can actually be negative, which is a crazy huge amount of negativity going on in there if you think about it. And this is because from an evolutionary perspective, of course, this makes sense. In order to survive as a species, it required that we were more alert to the negative, the potentially threatening aspects of the environments, like the saber-toothed tigers or the tree snakes. Okay, if we've been busy focusing on the kind of rainbows and daisies, not many of us would have survived. So what this means now is that we're automatically on the alert for the negative. However, in the times we're living in, we don't have to be on this lookout for danger all the time. So this innate tendency, more often than not, backfires for us. And what's worse is that for the majority of time, most of us are just completely unaware that this negative bias is even going on in our heads, or we actually believe that those thoughts that we're telling ourselves are true. But they're not, they're all optional, they're just stories. So how do we change this? Well, that is the piece of the puzzle that we're going to be getting to next. Now, just before I go to that, does anybody have any questions about mindset and what it is, or are you happy for me to just move on to how we go about changing it? Just see if there's anything in the chat. I don't think so. All right. No, we're all good. Okay, so let's move on then. Oops, there we go. So we're going to talk about how to flip your mindset. Okay, so I'm going to show you the kind of, sorry, where am I here? Excuse me. All right, so understanding how your thoughts and beliefs and those stories affect the results you get is really important. But let's look at how you can work with that, because it's one thing to know how you're thinking, but if you then realize that that's not working for you, then obviously we need to know how to change this. So I'm going to show you that kind of process to intentionally change up your brain and how to kind of decommission the unhelpful thoughts that are muddying things up for you. So this technique that I'm going to show you is perfect to kind of clean up your mindset. It's great to help you overcome negative self-talk. It's really good to help you change any habits you don't like, and it's great for helping you to shift your perspective. And it can be used in absolutely any area of your life. So it's a skill that's once learned, you're going to be able to use it over and over again. So in order to kind of flip your mindset, there are actually 3 steps to take in order to kind of clean up those thoughts. The first one is becoming aware. The second step is to kind of catch yourself in the act. And the third step is to rewire your brain. So we're going to be looking at each of these in turn. So step one is about creating that awareness, because you can't fix or change anything, of course, until you know what it is, right? So without awareness, how are you going to know which thoughts are causing you to feel and act in unhelpful ways? Okay, so you need to know what's going on in your mind in the first place before you can make any kinds of changes or adjustments. Now, there are two parts to this awareness step. First off, you need to be aware that you need to be aware, right? And so we've just discussed that. So hopefully now you've got that one nailed. And then you need to acknowledge, what those thoughts are that are causing the problem. All right. So this sounds pretty straightforward, but creating awareness actually takes quite a bit of work. Okay, we have so many thoughts going on our head every single day, and most of them we don't even notice, frankly. Okay, we're just in such a daze, or we're so stuck in the movie in our head that we don't even recognize them as thoughts. Okay, they just keep playing on in the background, and we either think of them as facts instead of optional ideas, and we don't realize the impact they have on our lives. So I want you to grab that piece of paper and your pen, if you've got one. If you don't have one, just grab one now. That would be great. And I want you to think about some areas in your life that you would like to change, okay? So maybe they're work-related or health-related or relationship-related, I don't know. Just some areas that you feel aren't quite where you would like them to be at the moment. Some areas you feel where you've kind of held yourself back, or you haven't made the progress that you would like. Just take a minute to write those down. Now, don't think too hard or censor yourself. It could be something really simple. It could be like, I hate the fact that I'm always late, or I think that I don't have enough time to do anything, or I can't resist that chocolate in the cupboard. I mean, it can be anything. I spend too much time on Instagram. Whatever it is, just an area of your life that you think that you could improve or you would like to change. All right, so write those all down. Just whatever kind of pops into your head. Some other ones that I've heard, things like, just those thoughts like, nobody is going to care what I have to say, or what do I know, or, I don't have enough experience to do that, or I can't cook, or I don't like vegetables. I mean, really anything in your life, doesn't matter big or small, just write it down. Stuff that's kind of not as you would like it. Okay, so the purpose of this is just to help you become aware of those thoughts that are kind of streaming through your brain. So then you're going to have something to look at to get to work on. All right. So you can keep adding to that list if thoughts pop into your mind as we go along. But for now, just put that to the side, and we're going to move on to step 2. There we are. We're going to move on to step 2. All right. So once you've got that awareness around those thoughts that are going through your head, like we just did now with that kind of list of things that aren't quite as you'd like them, and you can start to see the triggers that have been tripping you up, it's time to move on to the second step of the process. And this involves catching yourself in the act of actually thinking those thoughts, okay? So you want to catch yourself right in the moment when they pop into your head. That minute where you're flustered and frustrated and think, I just don't have the time to do this. Like, catch that thought, whatever it is, catch yourself in the moment. So step 1 was all about getting to know yourself better and kind of understanding what kind of thoughts you think would be a good idea to change. Now, step 2 is all about kind of feeling them and noticing them as you are actually thinking them, all right? So catching yourself in the act of perhaps self-sabotaging or derailing yourself in the moment, and stop that thought in its tracks. Now, when you notice yourself behaving in a way that you don't like, or you start to feel some negative emotion that is putting you off your good intentions, like frustration or hopelessness or anger or overwhelm or confusion, any of those kinds of emotions, I want you to check in with yourself. And then I want you to pause and explore what's going on, okay? Take a look into your brain and see, what have you been thinking? Catch that thought as it starts to kind of bubble up, all right? And doing this will help you to kind of stop that negative tape loop from going round and around on repeat, which it so often does. Now, once you do this, once you can, just pause and feel that feeling, you can then create some space where you can take a breath and then consider where that thought is coming from. And then think, is it realistic? Is it helpful? Is it leading me in the direction I want to go? And then you can look to modify that thought in some way to kind of make it more helpful. Now, I just really want to highlight at this point that when you are kind of catching yourself in the act of this step, it's not about changing your thought or immediately getting rid of it. Okay, we're just trying to just catch that moment when you're thinking about it. And what we want to do instead is create that space where you can get curious about your thought. Where did that thought come from? Okay, well, what made me do that? What was I thinking? These are the kinds of things you need to be asking yourself when you are having these thoughts that aren't particularly helpful. Now, catching yourself having an unhelpful thought also is really not a time to berate yourself or feel down on yourself for doing something wrong. Okay, as I said, it's a time to get curious and to figure out what is going on. I want you in this step to kind of be like a scientist and figure out the triggers. What are the thoughts and the mindset patterns that are leading you down the current path that you are on? Because the reasons you are getting the results that you want is because of some kind of thinking that's going on in there. We just need to figure out what that is. So let me give you a little example. So imagine that you're trying to stop eating cookies whenever you have a cup of tea. And yes, this is a really personal issue, which I'm currently working on. I am definitely prone to having a cookie or cake with my afternoon tea, and I'm trying to stop that. Anyway, so you go to make yourself a cup of tea and you feel the kind of habitual urge, well, I do, to grab a cookie. Now, as you feel that urge, you got to check in. What are you thinking? Now, it could be something like, I really want a cookie. It could be, a cookie is just what I need to perk myself up right now. I deserve that cookie. It's been a really long day. Just whatever it is, notice that thought that pops into your mind when you're about to do the thing that you know you really don't want to be doing. But don't act on it, okay? Don't grab the cookie just yet. Instead, just sit with that thought for a moment. Think about where it might be coming from. And maybe play around with the thought for a minute and see if there is a way that you could modify the thought that might help. I'm not asking you to change it. I'm not asking you to think that cookies don't go with tea, because we all know they do. Okay, I'm just asking you to think differently about why you need that cookie. All right, so play around with it. So as I said, a great way to do this is to modify your thought by adding something either at the beginning of the thought or at the end of your thought. Okay, so going back to my cookie example, I could switch my thought from I need a cookie to I notice that I keep thinking about wanting a cookie. Okay, so that opens some space for me to explore that feeling. Or I might add something to the end of that thought. A cookie is just what I need to perk myself up right now. Or is it? Again, that is opening up some space for me to contemplate a different way of thinking. So I've caught myself in the moment. I haven't tried to change anything, but what I'm doing is opening a space to think differently about that thought, opening that space to make the possibility that this thought is optional. I could actually be thinking about something else. So by adding these addendums, this really helps you to shift yourself into a place of curiosity and then move you in the direction of looking for more helpful thoughts. It's a way to get your brain working for you rather than against you. Now, another really great way to create this space between your thought and your response, your action of what you do, is answer yourself back. Okay, for example, if I say to myself, I really deserve that cookie because I've had a hard day, I could pause and ask myself, is that cookie really going to make my day better? Has my day been that hard? Is this cookie a reward, or is it something I'm going to regret later? Again, this is going to increase awareness and start to shine some light of kind of possible alternative ways of thinking and being. So that's what step 2 is about, catching yourself in the moment and then creating that space to explore possibilities and just get curious. So once you've got through that step, we're up to step 3. And this is all about rewiring your brain. Okay. So this third step is to make these new ways of thinking start to become just as habitual as the old ways of thinking. Okay. We want you to start to intentionally use the kinds of thoughts that step 2 helped you to develop, the kinds of thoughts that a person who has what you already want thinks. Okay. So in this step, you begin to let go of your old beliefs, the ones that were holding you back, and you start to tell yourself new stories about who you are, what you want, what you like, and what you are capable of achieving. You let go of all those shouldn'ts and those couldn'ts that have been plaguing you, okay? And then you embrace that mindset that you know is going to create the results that you want. And this step is all about practice and repetition, okay? It's moving back and forth between steps 1 and 2 of awareness, and then catching yourself in the moment, and then working with new thoughts over and over again until they become second nature, okay? Until you don't even think about having a cookie when you have a cup of tea, okay? Because you've rewired your brain not to associate tea with cookies. So slowly but surely, as you practice your new thoughts, you're going to start to rewire your brain. And then instead of automatically jumping to the old patterns of thinking, you start to develop the habit to shift to the new ways of thinking, with the result that your worldview also begins to shift with you. And as your view begins to shift, your feelings begin to shift, and then the way you react begins to shift as well. And then what you find is that this new mindset starts to help you create that life and get the goals and the plans that you've been dreaming of. So that's it. Those are the 3 steps. So what I want to do is I want you to see how this works in action. I want you to give it a go yourself right now. So on that piece of paper where you wrote that list of things that aren't going right quite as you want them right now, or those thoughts that kind of might be, getting in your way, I want you to pick one of those now. Okay. Now it doesn't have to be the biggest one. Okay. Just something that is causing a block and sabotaging your progress. Okay, so if you can think of a thought like this, like my kind of cookie thought, as I said, it doesn't have to be big. We're just using an example to help you work through this process. So I want you to write down that thought at the top of your page. Okay, so if everybody's done that, congratulations, you have done step 1. You just created awareness around a thought that you think might be sabotaging you or holding you back in some way. All right, so then we need to move on to step 2. And this is a bit hard right now because obviously this is a kind of contrived environment we're doing this in. But just imagine catching yourself in the act of thinking that unhelpful thought. So can you cast your mind back to a time when maybe you last had this thought, or just imagine that you're having it. And I'd love you to write down, how did that make you feel when you had that thought? Okay. So when you had, for example, when I have the thought that I really want a cookie, how does that make me feel? It makes me feel a little agitated if I'm thinking I'm not going to have a cookie. So how does that thought make you feel? And then I want you to write down, what did you do afterwards? Okay, so you had the thought, it made you feel in a certain way. And then how did you react? What did you do? Okay, so that is step 2. Well, step 2A will say, now I want you to think, what is a way that you might be able to modify that thought so that you don't automatically jump to the undesired behavior? Okay, so we can create that space to have that curiosity around that thought. So what's some kind of way you could modify it? For example, let's say if your thought is something like, I can't resist the chocolate in the cupboard. Okay, you might modify it to, I can't resist the chocolate in the cupboard, or can I? Okay, which starts you thinking about different possibilities. So if anyone wants to jump on with this, if they want to unmute and ask me a question how they could modify a thought right now, I'm really happy for you to do that while people are getting on thinking of their own. So if you've got any questions.
Okay, I will go first. So my big thing is I make all these excuses. I haven't got time to exercise. I hate the gym. I shouldn't run because I'm over 50 and I might do myself some damage. I can't swim. It'll break my blonded hair. I need to book my Pilates. I've paid for all these Pilates. I haven't booked them, but I'm so exhausted at the end of the day. Exercise is boring. I've got too much work to do.
A long list of thoughts to work with here, Lyn.
Right. So when I get a thought like that, and then I feel really shitty, what I do is I go and do heaps more work, and then I feel better because I've been so productive. And I say to myself, hey, I'm so productive. I'm like a machine. Like, not many people can really do all the stuff that I can do. Like, I keep rewarding myself by avoiding exercise.
But it's just buffering. It's no different from rewarding yourself with a cookie or rewarding yourself with a glass of wine. It just feels slightly better to you because it's work. So it seems good.
Yeah, that's right. I might as well have a cookie because my ass is just getting bigger and bigger, Georgia, because I'm sitting here doing work.
All right. So if you pick one of just one of those thoughts, it's too long to go over all of them. So what would be one?
So if I was like, I haven't got time for exercise, I've got too much work to do.
All right. So you can either, as I said, you can either kind of modify that thought in some way. So, or just answer. I think that's a good one to answer yourself back. So how might you respond to that?
So I could say, how could my work be better if I was fitter and stronger?
Absolutely. Or
I'm not going to feel at the end of exercise as opposed to like stiff in the neck after the end of the day when I haven't moved.
Or you'd be like, is this going to affect my work? Actually, maybe it's going to enhance my work. Maybe it's going to sharpen my brain. Maybe it's going to give me more energy. So start to just question the validity of your thoughts, because you are holding on to those as like hard facts.
I sure am. You're so right. You're spot on. I'll mute myself. Anyone else want to share? Like I've just shared why my ass is just getting bigger every week.
Anybody else? Be brave. You're welcome to jump on. If not, that's fine. You can always drop me a line later and I can definitely help you with that. So that's that kind of second step. It's understanding the kind of thoughts that you're having, like imagining what you would have in that moment when it's leading you down the path to do something you don't want to do. In this case, like not exercising. In my case, having the cookie with my tea. Now, the third step is to kind of look at how you might respond to yourself and kind of think about what are the new thoughts you want to be having. So what are the thoughts that you ultimately want to be leading to, so that you don't catch yourself in the act anymore. So then, sorry, excuse me. What is the thought about exercise that you want to have? A really easy way to think about this is, who is somebody who does a lot of exercise? How do they think about it? Are they sitting there going, should I go for a run today? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. No, they're thinking, I'm a person who goes for a run every day, and they just get up and go for a run. So what is that thought that you think you need to be having? So in the third step, I want everybody to write down the kind of thought that they ultimately would like to be as part of their mindset, be it around exercise or work or whatever it is. So it could be like, I don't need to eat chocolate to get through the day, because I'm just a person who doesn't need that. Okay. I'm the kind of person who is always on time. Like a lot of people, I hate it when I hear people say, oh, I'm really sorry I'm late. I'm just always late. I can't do anything about that. Of course you can. Start being a person who is always on time, and you will be on time. All right. So change that. How would you change your kind of unhelpful thought? What is the helpful one that you would like to have? It could be like, I only use social media when it suits me. Okay. There's so many different variations on thoughts, but if you can kind of settle on one that you think is going to work for you in this instance, and then you can start practicing that thought, that's going to help you shift that mindset. You're going to rewire your brain so that thought becomes automatic. So does anybody want to share any of theirs before we move on? No, okay, that's all right. As long as you've got them, that's good. I can see a few shaking heads there. So I think people have taken it on board. It's absolutely fine. So you can see how that process works, and we've just done that for one thought now, but you can go through and do it with any thought. A great way is, if you are having an issue or struggling with something, just do a thought download. Like just dump all the thoughts that you're thinking down onto a piece of paper and take a look and see what's going on in your brain. Question those thoughts, modify those thoughts, and then try and think of ones that might be more helpful for you, and then practice those instead. Whenever you find yourself in that moment, try and switch yourself to the new thought. That is how you shift your mindset. All right. So, okay, you can see how this works, okay? How you can change your thoughts and then shift your beliefs and attitudes to kind of get more of what you want. All right, it's all about rewiring the brain so it becomes automatic. Now, this process 100% works, okay, but it is for sure not a magic pill or a quick fix. It takes time. Also, the process isn't linear, okay? It's not like you become aware, you kind of get curious, and then you change your thought. You're going to be moving back and forth between these 3 steps all the time, okay? And of course, sometimes you're going to slip and slide back into your old patterns of thinking. But as long as you keep becoming aware of that and checking in with yourself and understanding how those thoughts are affecting your actions, then you're going to be on your way to kind of changing that mindset for good in the direction that you want to be going. You just need to remember that all your thoughts are optional, okay? Everything you're thinking in your head is optional. It is just a story that you're telling yourself. And if it's not working for you, change the tune, okay? Change the story. Now, you might not be able to stop these stories from popping into your head, okay? I'm not saying you can do that, but you can choose whether you're going to believe them. You can choose whether you're going to keep thinking about them over and over again, or whether you're going to let them go, okay? You can choose whether you're going to ruminate on them or not. So what I want you to do is I want you to become the curator of the thoughts in your brain, okay? And start being intentional about how you use them and where they take you in your life. So being aware like this, using those 3 steps, puts you in the driver's seat, okay? And that means you can then steer that car in any direction that you want it to go. You're in charge of that. And whether you're aware or not, you're still driving that car, okay? So way better to be aware and drive the car in the direction that you want to go, rather than an autopilot where it can just take you anywhere, okay? So that is the key, creating awareness. Now, of course, awareness is just one part of the process to develop that success mindset. It's probably the biggest part, but it's still, there's some other things that are important. So what I want to do now is just take you back to where we started, to those 4 components of developing that success mindset. Now, as we do this, just flip your paper over to the other side if you've got some space. And as I go through each of those 4 elements, what I would like you to do is give yourself a score in each area between 1 and 10. Okay, with 10 being, yeah, nailed this, I'm already doing that. And 1 being, I need to do a bit of work here. All right. And the reason why I'm asking you this is so that by the end of the presentation, you're going to know exactly which areas you need to do some work on. Okay, so that you can start to fine tune your mindset. So here's a quick overview again of the process. So as I said, there are 4 elements. They are to be open, to be clear, to be aware, and to be good. So let's have a look at each of those in turn. So the first one, of course, is in order to develop that success mindset, you need to actually be open to the idea that you can change your thoughts, okay? And that you can change your feelings and you can change your actions. If you believe that you are the way you are and that your proclivities and your luck and all of that stuff is just set in stone, well, there's not much you can do about it, is there, okay? You're kind of stuck. And then the only option you're left with is just making the best of what you've got, which is okay. And that's what a lot of people do. They just think that's life. That's the hand I've been dealt. I'm just going to deal with it. But if you're willing to embrace an open kind of growth style attitude and acknowledge that thoughts are optional and that they can be changed, then you can choose how you react to the world. Then that gives you power, okay? It gives you the power to create more success. And this starts to open a whole load of doors to working on and developing your mindset so you get more of what you want. If you believe that you will succeed, you will keep taking action until you do, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's how thoughts create results. So if you believe there's an answer to a problem, your brain's going to kind of set to work trying to find the solution, all right? So are you open to the idea that you can create and change that mindset? Okay, are you open to that idea that thoughts shape your results? So give yourself a score between 1 and 10 on how open you are to this idea of that growth mindset and the adaptability of the way you think. And the fact that thoughts are optional. A lot of people think their thoughts are facts, but they are not, they're stories. So give yourself a score between 1 and 10 on that. Now, if you're on the lower side of the scale, don't worry, but what I would like you to do is just have a think about it. Why are you skeptical about this idea that you can change your mindset? And maybe jot down a question or 2 that might be keeping you from the idea of a flexible mindset. And I'm happy to kind of address those with you a bit later on if we have anybody who has those concerns. So the second step in this kind of success mindset process is to be clear, all right? You need to actually know what it is that you want, okay, which makes sense. You need to know the kind of person that you want to be. You need to know what you're trying to achieve, like what is your goal? Because without a clear idea of that, it's easy for the waters to get a bit murky, okay? And this can lead to confusion and overwhelm and inertia, and it leaves you feeling stuck and unsatisfied. Your brain doesn't know where to go. But if you can be really clear on what you want, who you want to be, and then get clear on the kind of thoughts and feelings and behaviors that that person needs to have, and then think about how does that differ from how I actually am right now, then you can start to shift your mindset to become the person you need and want to be. All right. You'll know which direction it needs to be shifted in, but you need to be clear on the kind of person you want to be first. So I want you to have a think. How clear are you on what kind of person you would like to be and what kind of things you want in your life going forwards? Okay. Give yourself a score between 1 and 10. And also, when you're thinking about this, you also kind of need to know, do you know how the person who you want to be needs to think, feel, and act? Because it's by thinking and feeling and acting in those ways that you're going to become that person. So you need to know that as well. So give yourself a score between 1 and 10. Now, if you're on the lower side here, then your work is to sit down and have a think about where you want to be heading. Okay. Maybe take some time to do like a free writing exercise or something about your future and your goals to try and gain a bit more clarity. Now, the third component is to be aware. And of course, that's what we've been talking about mostly today, being aware of those thoughts going through your mind and how they influence you. So what score, after what we talked about today, would you give yourself on awareness? So between 1 and 10, how aware do you think you are right now what's going on in your mind at most times during the day? Now, I think for most people, awareness is a constant work in progress. So even if you gave yourself a really high score, even if you feel like you are aware, it's not something you can just then let go. Okay, awareness is something that we always need to be doing. So it's a work in progress. All right, so that leads us to the fourth component, which is a bit of a funny one. To be good, people are like, why is that in there? What does that even mean? Well, what I mean is that once you've kind of got that open mind, once you know what it is you want, so you're clear, and once you've created that awareness about how you need to be thinking, then what you need to do is start taking actions that move you in the right direction. Okay, you need to be good. You need to make the good decision, the one that's going to move you forwards. Doesn't matter, even if it's just the tiniest bit. Okay, it's just take the one that will take you forwards rather than the one that's going to take you backwards. Now, my personal experience is I find that most success is created through really small but really consistent steps. Okay, and if you keep taking the good step, you're going to be on the upward trajectory that you can see in that picture just there. Okay, it's those kinds of things that are really easy to do, but also easy not to do. Okay, so in the moment, it doesn't really seem to matter. Okay, if you don't do them once or twice, you know, is it really going to matter? I don't know. If you, for example, if you hit the snooze button tomorrow morning instead of going out for a walk, is it going to matter if you do it just once? No, not if you do it just once. But if you keep making that choice, it is going to add up. So what I really encourage people to do is be good. Make that good choice every time if you can. It's easy to do. It's easy not to do. Why not just do the one that is good? So if you want your life to be moving on that upward trajectory, you need to be more consistently making those small but good choices, okay? And you need a willingness to have this be the foundation of your mindset. You would be absolutely amazed how the little things add up over time. Okay, so the law of compounding takes over. Okay, and it makes little steps turn into a really huge change. So did you know that if you get just 1% better at something each day, you're going to be 37 times better by the end of the year? All right, that's massive. So that's the power of compounding. But on the flip side of that, think of this. If you get 1% worse each day, you're going to be 37 times worse at the end of the year. Okay, people like to think of it on the upside, but they don't like to think of it so much on the downside. So be considerate in your choices. Make the good one. Take the smoothie instead of the donut. Have a conversation with your child instead of scrolling through Instagram. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Like whatever it is, they're tiny little things and each of themselves don't matter, but they add up. So take the good one. All your actions are important, no matter how small, all right? So be good, and you're going to start to find yourself where you want to be in time. So I want you to have a think now, how good are you at choosing just those little actions, making those little decisions that are in line with your kind of mindset and your values, those things that are easy to do either way, all right? I want you to be honest and give yourself a score between 1 and 10, all right? Now, of course, it's hard, if not impossible, to be a 10. No one is perfect. We all have those moments where we take the easy opt-out. But the more you practice making those small good choices, the more, I promise you, it gets addictive, because you're going to see the way life begins to take off for you. So give yourself a score between 1 and 10 on that. Now, I can see you pulling a face there, Lyn. All right. So that's it. So what's next? So looking at the scores that you gave yourself and thinking about that little thought exercise that we did earlier, you should have a pretty good idea of the kind of things that you need to be working on in order to tweak and tune your mindset. All right. So looking at that, what is one just little bite-sized action or a shift of perspective that you could make today that's going to start to shift things for you? Okay. I want you to write that down on your piece of paper because I want you to make it real. And even better, I would like you to actually go out there and do that tomorrow because I want you to commit to it. That's what's going to make the changes. Be good. So if anybody wants to share what their little bite-sized action is and create some accountability, you're welcome to drop that in the chat and we can all hold you to that. So yeah, feel free to drop it in the chat. Now, I think this bite size, as I said, small steps to big change is the way that I work. But just for a moment, I want you to imagine something bigger for yourself. All right. I want you to close your eyes. I know we're all sitting in our own little rooms here and it's a bit strange, but anyway, close your eyes and I want you to take a deep breath. Now, for the last kind of 40 minutes or so, we've been working that logical part of your brain quite hard. I've given you a lot of new information to consider. So now I just want you to tap into the creative side of your brain just for a moment. And I want you to paint yourself a picture. All right. So just for a minute or so, I would love you to suspend any disbelief or disappointment or frustration. And I want you to imagine that anything is possible. Okay. Yes, anything. Okay, I'm making myself just for this minute your newly appointed fairy godmother. And in this picture, I want you to see yourself kind of living and doing those things that you really want to be doing. Okay, so maybe you're super successful in your business. Maybe you're reading some glowing testimonials from clients. Maybe you have all the time in the world to sit around and relax in the sun. Maybe you're finishing your first marathon. Perhaps you're watching your kids graduate from college. Really, just think about anything that's your true heart's desire and picture that in your mind's eye. All right, so have you got that picture of what you would like to make possible? Okay, so how does it feel to be looking at that picture? All right, to know that you can create that picture. All right, I'm guessing it feels pretty good. Okay, it's amazing to know that when you set your sights on something, that you can make it happen. So what I want you to do is just hold on to that picture and I want you to smile, okay, because it feels nice. A job well done, you have made it. And I want you to open your eyes and take another breath. All right, so what did that picture look like? Okay, is that a possibility that you could get excited about? Like, is that a vision that you would like to turn into a reality? Well, if it is, that is excellent because now you're clear and you're inspired and you should know what it is that you need to do in order to get your mindset into gear and start to make those things happen. But my question to you is, and this is an important one, how are you going to stay focused and motivated when you walk away from this webinar later today and then life starts coming at you fast again? Okay, many of the reasons that you haven't made the changes that you want are still going to be out there. Okay, the work, the family and the chores and all that fun stuff that keeps getting in the way of even the best intentions. Now, the reality is that all the focus and motivation that you might have right now can go out the window within minutes of shutting down this webinar, okay? And then you find yourself back in the same place you've always been. It happens to the best of us. So how can you maintain the motivation and momentum to go out there and reach your goals, to kind of change up your mindset so you can get more of what you want? Well, in my experience, what you need is a support and accountability system. So have a think, who do you know that has accomplished what you want to accomplish? Who can be in your corner and give you the guidance and support that you need? Maybe you have a friend, maybe you have a colleague, maybe a family member. BWA is a fantastic resource for finding people like this who can support you and give you the advice that you need. It's excellent. So if you've got someone like this or someone has popped into your mind, I want you to write that down. And then I want you to commit to emailing or calling that person and asking them, can you enlist them to help you move towards your goals and keep you on track? Now, if you don't have a person like this, I would like you to consider one thing. How about me being your support and accountability system? I would love the opportunity to work with any of you to be your coach and help you develop that mindset for success, help you to develop those goals. Now, working with me isn't for everyone, that's for sure. It really takes commitment to make the changes that you want, and not everyone is ready to make themselves and their kind of dreams and goals a priority. It's not always the right time. But if you did want to fast track yourself to making your goals and dreams happen, I would love to have a chat. Now, all you need to do this is to schedule a call with me. You can see the link at the bottom of the screen there, bit.ly/GB Discovery Call. And there you can book in a complimentary call with me where we can have a chat about how I can help you to work towards your goal. Now, these calls are free, as I said, but they are limited in number and reserved for people who are willing to kind of take the leap and get the support they need to reach their goals. Okay, you've got to want to have that support. People who are willing to and ready to make themselves a priority and ready to invest in themselves. And most importantly for me, it's people who are willing to commit to taking action. Okay, people who are willing to kind of think out the box and do things a little bit differently and change things up. Because if you're not willing to change what you're doing, then nothing's going to change. So you really have to be happy to kind of step out of your comfort zone and think in new and different ways and to question yourself. So if this sounds like something that you would be interested, please, I'd love you to book a call in. We can have a quick chat. So that link will take you to my calendar where you'll be able to book in a time that works for you. And then you're going to be in the front of the line to have me helping you. Now, just in case you're thinking, Georgia, that sounds fabulous, I would love to discuss working with you as my coach, but maybe I'm going to get to that later. I'm just going to give you a little incentive to do it now so that all this kind of good intention and clarity that you found today doesn't kind of get lost in the shuffle when you leave. So if you book your call before the end of this webinar, I'm going to send you 2 free gifts, which are 2 of my most popular workbooks. One is called Decluttering Your Life and Your Mind, which is just a fun kind of workbook, which gives you exercises to find clarity kind of both inside and out. And then the second one is called How Do You Spend Your Time, which is really a time audit, which helps you to understand how you are using your time and to maximize it for more success in your life. So if you want one of those, book your call in before we leave here today. Now, that's it from me, but I just wanted to finish up with a little quote for you, which is by George Bernard Shaw. And he said, life isn't about finding yourself. It is about creating yourself. And this is exactly what we've been talking about today. A good life, success, isn't just something that falls into your lap. A good life isn't something that you were born to or stumble across. Okay, if a good life is something that you create for yourself through your thoughts and your feelings and your actions. A good life is driven by your mindset and what you believe is possible for yourself. Now, I see far too many people out there, it really makes me sad, living kind of lackluster lives that are okay, but they're not brilliant. They're not the lives they could be living because they are unaware of the power that they have in their own minds. Now, I believe that the possibilities open to each of us are almost endless. Okay, we all have so much potential, and I hate to see it go untapped. So that is why I've chosen this work, to help people uncover their potential and make the changes that they need so they live lives that they love. So I hope today that I've inspired you to kind of have a bigger vision of what is possible and how you can start really making progress towards what it is that you want. And that now you have some tools to go out there and make some things happen. So thank you very much for listening to me today. I'm open to any questions that people might have. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so that we can have.
Wow, that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Georgia. I have got a little roadmap.
Well, you've definitely got a long list of thoughts.
I'm actually going to give permission to my husband to be my accountability buddy. And I've kept my recording on. I was going to turn it off, but I thought I'm going to record it because I'm putting it out there in the public realm that I'm giving Hawkins to be my accountability buddy. I don't know what it is that stops me, but I'm always like, don't tell me what to do to Simon, and I'm going to stop that. So I'm also going to.
You're making him do. He's making you do something that you want to do but don't really want to do. That's why.
I want to be told what to do. So I'm just going to unpack that. I'm going to through this. I had that realization. It's like, why offering advice or wanting to help me? So that's my little journey. That'll be a really interesting one.
I like that. That's interesting.
If I still won't let him do that for me, Georgia. I'll be booking that call with you. Don't you worry. I'm going to stop recording now so that we can all have a bit of a chat.
Sure.